1 year into the marriage, and he'd never once touched me. I drowned my sorrow in wine, only to have ghostly live-stream comments explode across my vision. Julian's car has been parked outside the Sterling estate for half an hour while he watches you drink alone. His eyes are red. What the hell? I spun around. The villa was empty. A hallucination had to be. I took 2 steps. Fresh bubbles popped up. Look. Julian finally cracked. He's coming in. I whipped toward the dining room door. Framed by the backlight stood a tall, imposing silhouette, the familiar bite of cedar-cold cologne stealing my breath. Julian was home. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit, no tie, the top 2 buttons undone to expose the sharp arc of his throat. A god's face carved in ice, eyes dark as midnight locked on me. My scalp prickled, the wine haze evaporated. "Why are you back?" My voice shook. He didn't answer. Long strides closed the distance, leather soles drumming like stomps on my heart. Pure, suffocating pressure. I backed up. He snatched my wrist, his palm a branding iron. OMG, that body heat diff. Julian's a furnace. Look how he's suffering. His jawline could slice bone, guys hanging by a thread. Reading the bubbles while feeling that scorching grip scrambled my brain. Glass on the floor, don't move. His voice was gravel. He bent and scooped me into a bridal carry. I yelped, airborne, crushed against a wall of molten muscle. Through thin cloth his heart pounded like war drums. Princess Carrie, he finally touched her. Zoom in on those red ears. This isn't frostbite, it's a walking stud. Obscene captions turned my face crimson. I went rigid. Julian's arms tightened. Did I hurt you? I shook my head and buried my burning face in his chest. Thud, thud, thud. His heart trying to escape. If the comments are true, everything I believed this year wobbled. He carried me into his bedroom, the forbidden zone I'd entered only on our wedding night. Gently he set me on the massive bed and turned to fetch the first aid kit. A sliver of glass had sliced my ankle, blood beaded. Stay still. Ice-cold order, feather-soft hands. Kneeling, he cleaned the cut. The chill of antiseptic made me flinch. He froze, remorse flickering in his eyes. He's blaming himself for not protecting her. Dude's inner monologue. Worthless. Couldn't even guard my own wife. Cold CEO rapping equals guilty puppy inside. My heart hiccuped. Maybe I should test him? Task finished, he rose, remote again. Rest. He headed for the door, same routine. Surrender the master suite, sleep elsewhere. Wait. I stopped him, hand on the knob. I drank, I'm cold. Silence dropped like a lead weight. His spine turned to steel. Here comes the seduction. He's a sheet of iron, reason screaming run. Instincts yelling, turn around. Go get her, Sterling. Emboldened, I slid off the bed, padded barefoot across cold marble, caught his shirt tail. Julian, stay tonight? His knuckles whitened on the handle. Slowly he turned, eyes twin furnaces of pain, restraint, and primal possessiveness. Sophia, he rasped, do you know what you're asking? I do. I met his stare. I'm tired of sleeping alone. A match to gasoline. He yanked me against him hard. You asked for it. His mouth crashed down, savage, starving, a year's worth of hunger. Cedar and heat caged me, the world blurred. They're kissing, national holiday. That's not a kiss, it's consumption. A year of abstinence, ladies, take notes. The comments snapped me back. Mortification flamed my cheeks. Julian seemed to wake from a trance, releasing me so abruptly I swayed. Sorry, he backed toward the door, chest heaving, drenched in self-reproach. You fool. I stepped up, stretched on tiptoe, and kissed him myself, soft, deliberate. His pupils dilated, he turned to stone. Counterattack. Sophia's a boss. Sterile stallion, if you run now you're literally impotent. He's scared, terrified he'll break her. Break me? My thoughts scattered. Julian bolted. One shove, and he was gone, sprinting like demons chased him. Left alone, I touched my swollen lips, half laughing, half aching. Run. Julian, are you even male? Hands shaking. 1 more minute, and he'd wreck our girl. Anybody know why? One thread said, his dad was abusive. He's terrified of turning into him. My chest tightened. All I knew was that his mother died young and his father was radioactive. Details had been zero. So beneath the glacier lay this festering wound. I spent the night wide-eyed on his sheets, cedar and cold night air cocooning me. At dawn I trudged downstairs with twin panda eyes and found Julian in the kitchen. Gray sweats muted his edge. Steam curled from the mug he gripped. When he saw me his hand jerked, milk sloshed. He couldn't meet my eyes. Morning. His single word creaked, ear tips glowing crimson. Pure CEO, weapon of innocence. Dude cooked 3 versions, Western, Eastern, then fusion, before sunrise. The hybrid feast, and the purple shadows under his eyes melted my heart. I took the opposite chair. "About last night," I began. He fake coughed. "Eat." Picture of a scolded schoolboy. I obeyed, sipping porridge in weighted silence. Finally he left for Jordan. I stayed, scrolling cat videos until mid-afternoon, when my phone rang. Claire, childhood friend, reputed true love, invited me to Starlight Cafe downtown. "Sophia, free this afternoon? Let's chat." Sugar wouldn't melt in her mouth, but I smelled ambush. Green tea on the move. She heard Julian never came home, can't sit still. "Bring your battle sword." I smirked. Once I'd have cowered, now her panic spelled leverage. "My man, my rules. Starlight, 3 p.m. I'll be there." She wore virginal white, hair draped like satin, surveying me with veiled contempt. "Hope you don't mind me asking," she crooned. "Not at all." I sipped lemon water, already bored. Obnoxious subtitles filled the air. Classic opener, translation. "You usurping imposter. Check her Hermes, nails clawing crocodile, jealousy on crack." "Julian's unwell," Claire murmured. "Insomnia, trauma. He can't handle intimacy." "You two still have separate rooms, right?" "She's prescribing herself while sentencing you to widowhood. Tell her hubby's libido is A-OK." I leaned in, smiling sweetly. "Quinn, I know. In fact, the only time he sleeps is when he's holding me. As for intimacy," I let the pause linger. "We prefer to keep that private, between husband and wife. Outsiders wouldn't understand. You need hands-on experience." Her complexion cycled through moon white, sick green, apoplectic red. Clapback complete. "She wants to stab you but has to stay classy. Hilarious." "You think you've won?" Claire hissed. "He married you for the Vance name. His heart is mine." "Legally he's mine," I countered. "You're just a footnote." The door chimed. Julian strode in, assistant in tow, froze at the sight of us, then frowned. Claire's tears switched on like faucet water. "Julian, here comes the frame-up. Pick wrong and you're dead, buddy." Julian bypassed her, stopped before me, cupped my cheek. "Did she upset you?" Starlight fell silent. Claire's jaw unhinged. No questions, full bias to wife. Claire's green with radioactive envy. "No," I said. Only then did he pivot, gaze arctic. "Claire, my wife dislikes you. Don't appear in front of her again." "But I was worried." "Your concern is irrelevant. Respect my marriage." He led me out. "Let's go home." In the car I teased. "I was curious about your eternal flame." Tires screamed as he braked. "There's never been anyone but you, Sophia." Confessometer explodes. "Kiss him, fool." He restarted the engine, muttering, "Stay away from him. She's poison." That night he followed me into the master bedroom instead of the guest room. Post-shower I emerged to find him in robe, damp hair, file forgotten. Lamplight licked over the V of tanned skin. I slid to the far edge of the mattress. "Light off." Minutes stretched, then his fingers brushed mine, curling around my hand. "Good night, Sophia." "Good night." For the first time since our wedding, I slept safe, claimed unbroken. Next morning a thunderclap named Charles arrived, Leo in tow. "Sophia, your little brother's company hit a cash crunch and needs a quick injection." In the living room, Charles came straight to the point, sounding as if the request were the most natural thing on earth. My darling younger brother, Leo, sat nearby glued to his phone. He couldn't even spare me a glance. Apparently I wasn't his sister, just an ATM in high heels. I lifted my teacup, blew away the steam, and said nothing for the moment. "Here we go, premium Leach family combo platter. That loser Leo's been screwing around again and owes a pile, right? Every time it's his sister who wipes his ass. Old Sophia would have obediently paid up, but now she's got a husband backing her." Exactly. In the past, to earn even a sliver of acknowledgement in the Vance house, I'd said yes to every demand. But I'm done playing the doormat. "Dad, if a company needs cash flow, you go to a bank or call your majority stakeholders. Why come to me?" I answered coolly. Charles's face darkened. "What kind of talk is that? Your brother's in trouble. How can you, his sister, not help? Besides, you're Mrs. Sterling now. This is pocket change to you." "Yes, sis." Leo finally looked up, impatient. "Don't be stingy. It's only 50 million. Your hubby snaps his fingers and boom, done. 50 million. So casual." Puffed. Talk about a king-sized bite. He'll gamble it away in one night. A brother like this, why keep him around? Break his legs and toss him out. My hands shook with rage. Just as I opened my mouth to refuse, Julian's voice drifted in from the doorway. "Oh, since when can my money be snapped away for strangers?" He had come back at some point and was leaning against the frame, languid, eyes glacial. Charles and Leo shot to their feet like mice that had spotted a cat. "Julian, you're home." Charles oozed a fawning smile. Julian ignored him, walked straight to me, sat, and curled a long arm around my shoulders. He dropped a gentle, natural kiss on my forehead. "What's wrong, baby? Who upset you?" His voice could have wrung water from silk. I nearly bounced off the sofa in shock. Holy crap, give this man an Oscar. Julian, not winning one is a crime. Calling her baby in front of her parasitic dad and brother. R.I.P. me too sweet. Look at their dumbfounded faces, dying. I glanced up stiffly. Sure enough, Charles and Leo's eyeballs practically dangled. They'd always assumed Julian treated me with cold indifference. And nothing, I murmured, cheeks burning. Really? Julian lifted a brow, then turned to Charles, his gaze frosting over again. Chairman Vance, you mentioned 50 million? Why yes, Leo's company. Does that company bear the surname Vance or Sterling? Julian cut in softly. Charles was struck speechless. If it's Vance, it has zero to do with my family. A trace of mockery colored Julian's tone. My money is for my wife's pleasure only. As for anyone else. His pause sliced the air, his stare knifed across Leo's face. Get lost and stay lost. The Vance father and son slunk away like stray dogs. Before leaving, Charles shot me a look brimming with resentment. I knew the feud was cemented. Silence reclaimed the living room. Julian kept his arms around me, unwilling to let go. Next time they bother you, don't even answer the door, he said, voice low above my head. I answered muffledly, chest oddly hollow. Even freed from them, being used and schemed against by kin still stung. Sensing my mood, Julian tightened his embrace. Sophia, he said suddenly, you're not a tool. I jolted and looked up. His deep eyes shone with unfeigned earnestness and heartache. You're my wife, the one I hold above everything. No one is allowed to bully you, not even your blood. My eyes burned instantly. No one had ever spoken those words to me. No one had ever stood unshakably on my side, sheltering me beneath such wings. Ugh, sobbing, dream hubby material. Sophia, don't cry, you have us and Julian, you're not alone. Trash relatives discarded. Enjoy life with Mr. Sterling. I sniffed the tears back, reached out, and wrapped my arms around his waist, burrowing my face into his solid chest. Julian, thank you. His body stiffened briefly before hugging me even tighter. Silly girl, he whispered at my ear. That afternoon we did nothing, just held each other. For the first time, this cold villa felt warm. That night Julian took a call, some emergency at headquarters, and had to leave. Before going, he repeatedly told me to lock up and phone him for anything. Alone inside the Sterling estate, I'd never felt safer. After a shower, I lay in bed, ready to sleep, when my phone chirped. A number I didn't know sent an MMS. I opened it, and my pupils shrank. The photo showed Julian and Claire in an upscale Avalon private room. Claire, half undressed, sagged in his arms. Julian bowed his head as if about to kiss her. The angle screamed intimacy. An invisible fist squeezed my heart until I couldn't breathe. WTF. P-shopped for sure. Wait, this scene, I've read it in the original. Claire drugged Julian. Yes. This photo drives Sophia to file for divorce and she wastes away. The biggest gut punch in the book. Sophia, don't buy it. Julian was framed. Staring at the barrage, my blood ran cold. Drugged? Set up? I clutched the phone, jealousy and dread gnawing like vipers. Just then it rang again, Claire calling. Exhaling, I accepted. Claire's tear-choked, breathless plea spilled out. Sophia, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Julian drank too much. He mistook me for you. Address. I cut her off, voice glacial. She hesitated, startled by my calm. Sophia, don't misunderstand. Send. Me. The address. I enunciated every word. A pause, then she rattled off Avalon's name and a room number. I hung up, changed clothes, grabbed my keys and bolted. Sophia babe, stay cool, don't rush in. It's a trap. She's baiting you, more tricks ahead. Call Julian first and check. I'd thought of phoning him, but Claire's schemes are airtight. His cell was probably off. Better to storm over and see the farce for myself. My car shot through the night. The comments kept flashing. Girls, I peeked into Julian's POV. He's drugged but fighting it, locking himself in the bathroom and dousing his head with cold water. He's a wreck. Claire the witch is phoning reporters. Wants a scandal headline to force a divorce. I floored the accelerator. Claire, you asked for center stage. Tonight I'll give you the show of your life. I reached Avalon, found the room. A handful of shady photographers loitered outside. Smirking, I bypassed the main entrance and slipped to the back. I rang the manager, introduced myself as Mrs. Sterling. Terrified, he scurried over and personally unlocked the service door. Mrs. Sterling, whatever you need, he stammered. I shoved the rear door open, Booze and heavy perfume smacked my face. Inside, Claire perched on the sofa, adjusting her mussed clothes, a smug grin on her lips while she spoke into her phone. Yes, wait 5 more minutes for the drug to peak, then rush in. She didn't notice me behind her. Rush in for what? My icy voice sliced the air. Claire froze, smile cracking. Spinning around, she paled as if she'd seen a ghost. So, Sophia? How? Keep dreaming of stealing my husband? I stepped closer, glare razor sharp. Claire, brave move. I don't know what you mean. Panic flickered in her eyes. I raised my hand and cracked a slap across her cheek. The smack echoed. That's for Julian. I backhanded her again. That's for me. You psycho, she shrieked, clutching her swelling face. I grabbed her hair, dragged her to the bathroom door. Open up. Ragged breathing and a man's stifled groan leaked through. My heart twisted. Julian, it's me, Sophia. Open the door. I pounded. Sounds paused. Seconds later the lock clicked. A wave of chilled water and scorching heat burst out. Julian stood soaked, shirt plastered to every carved muscle. Drips slid from his hair, hectic flush stained his cheeks. Once cold eyes blazed like red-hot iron. At the sight of me, shock and terror flashed across his face. Sophia, why are you here? Stay back, he rasped, instinctively shoving the door to shield me from his out-of-control world. I darted in and wrapped my arms around his waist from behind. I'm not leaving. I pressed my cheek to his burning back. I'm here, Julian. His body turned to stone. OMG, Sophia, wifey's a lioness. This is marriage. Face it together, don't let a green bitch twist you. Turn around, Julian. Your wife is your antidote. I felt him tremble violently, fighting the roaring drug. Get out. He ground out, voice cracking with pleading. I'll hurt you. You won't. I hugged him. I trust you. Behind us, Claire scrambled upright, jealousy reddening her eyes. Don't get cocky. Julian's delirious, Before she finished, Julian whipped around. He shielded me, crimson glare locking on her like a beast. Scram. One word, tsunami fury murderous. Claire stumbled back, white as paper. Julian, I did it for you. I said scram, he roared, flinging a tumbler to the floor. Shattered glass ricocheted. The temperature hit sub-zero. At last she fled, crawling. The reporters she'd summoned were blocked by security. Her stunt had belly flopped. Now only we remained. Julian leaned against the wall, panting, knees buckling. I cupped his dripping face. Look at me, I whispered. Who am I? His throat bobbed, internal war raged. Sophia. He exhaled raggedly. Yes, me. I rose on tiptoe and kissed his searing lips. Stop holding back, okay? Those words snapped the last thread of restraint. With a groan he pinned me to the wall and kissed me like a hurricane, frenzied, reverent, branding me his. Sophia, my Sophia. He murmured again and again. I answered with equal fire. In that instant, all misunderstandings vaporized. I knew only one thing. I love this man who, clumsily and silently, has loved me far longer than I ever realized. That night's madness erupted like a year-long volcano. Julian tried to fuse me into his bones, to be certain I was real. When I woke the next day, my body felt steamrolled. His side of the bed was empty but still warm. Water ran in the bathroom. Staring at the ceiling, memories flooded back. My cheeks ignited. She's awake. Look at those hickeys. Was Julian a werewolf? Not a dog. He's a starving wolf finally fed. I touched the bruised map on my neck. Animal. The door opened. Julian emerged in a towel, froze when he saw me, ears burning scarlet. Last night's beast had morphed into a shy CEO. Awake. He approached, voice husky. Sir, anywhere. Everywhere. I glared. He looked guilty, hand half raised, afraid to hurt me. Sorry, last night. Last night. I played dumb. I don't recall. His face blackened. He braced over me, caging me in shadow. Forgotten, he growled. I can refresh your memory. He dipped for a kiss and I squealed surrender. Mercy. I remember everything. Appeased, he pecked my forehead. Hungry? The chef's on standby. My stomach seconded the motion. He carried me to wash up, then to the table, refusing to let my feet touch the floor. While shelling shrimp, he told me about Claire. Sam will pay. She won't bother you again. And the Vances? He hesitated. You never have to see them if you don't want. His caution warmed me. Julian. I squeezed his hand. We faced these things together. Surprise softened into a spring-water smile. Together, he echoed, squeezing back. After brunch, I wanted to ask about his psychological scars, but his assistant rang. An emergency transnational conference. He hung up, pouting like a big dog. I don't want to go to work. He nuzzled my neck. Your Majesty, morning court is cancelled. Mr. Sterling. Your billion-dollar empire needs you." Laughing, I pushed him out the door. At the threshold, he turned. "Wait for me. Always." The door shut, the house felt empty. Comments drifted across my phone. "Don't mope, bigger fireworks incoming." After the meeting, Julian marched straight to Sam. "Grab popcorn, he's about to raise the place." I brightened. "Raise Sam? Count me in." I never learned the exact havoc Julian wreaked, but that afternoon financial channels exploded. Massive accounting fraud and tax evidence inside Sam. Ironclad proof, execs arrested on the spot, stock price in free fall, bankruptcy imminent. Every analyst traced the knife to Sterling Group. Netizens went berserk, unable to fathom why Julian would butcher his childhood friend's empire. Only I knew he did it for me. That night he returned, frost still clinging to his shoulders. I ran and hugged him hard. "It's done," he murmured into my hair. I mumbled against his chest. "Next time don't be so reckless." He chuckled, ruffling my hair. "Anything for you is worth it." That evening he finally unlocked the vault of his past. His father, a tyrant, beat his mother daily. At 10 he watched her leap from the balcony to escape, crimson blooming on pavement while the monster branded it an accident. Gray blanketed his world thereafter. He feared the blood in his veins, feared turning into the same demon. So when he fell for me, he kept his distance, convinced absence was protection. "Sorry, Sophia," he whispered, voice thick, "for every hurt I caused." I kissed the tears from his lashes. "You're nothing like him. You're the best man in the world." "Say it again," he breathed. "I love you." He kissed me until stars burst behind my eyes. The following days were honeyed haze. Julian shed his icy armor, morphing into a clingy, jealous, devoted pup. He sulked if I glanced at a male celebrity. He brewed clumsy brown sugar ginger tea when my period arrived. Every ounce of tenderness went to me. I learned marriage isn't a transaction or cage. It's two souls healing each other, standing together against every storm. Without the Sterling shield, the Vance family crumbled. Charles came begging. Julian's bodyguards turned him away. Soon Leo gambled himself into crippling debt. His legs were broken. Claire was sued into ruin for defamation and conspiracy. None of it touched me. My world was bright breeze and gentle sun, and the man who loved me beyond measure. That was enough. Perfect ending. Confetti. Ah, too sweet. My inner teenager is squealing. When's the next book dropping? I need the daily sugar of their married life now. I let the congratulatory livestream comments drift past, smiling as I lean back into Julian's chest. He drops a kiss on the crown of my head, voice gentle. "What are you reading?" I shake my head and switch off the stream only I can see. "Nothing." I tilt my face up, meet his dark, devoted eyes, and take the kiss myself. The road ahead is long, but with you in it, everything is perfect. On my birthday, I walked into the 7-Star wearing faded blue jeans. My boyfriend Ellis flung a platinum card in my face in front of everyone. "Take it and get lost. A gold digger like you should crawl next door for a street-side hot pot bowl." The crowd roared, waiting for me to fall apart. I bent, picked up the card, and snapped it neatly in half. "Funny, this hotel happens to be mine." 100 executives behind me bowed in unison. "Welcome, President Sterling, to your inspection." While Ellis turned the color of ash, I flashed my black tear. "The North American fund you begged for Series B last year? Founder's surname is Sterling." "Oh, and your company's majority stakeholder?" "Pretty sure that just changed." His phone rang. Taylor informed him he'd been stripped of his CEO title on the spot. It was my 24th birthday. The sky hung gray and dingy, like a dirty rag flung over the city. I wore those same white threadbare jeans and a plain white t-shirt, so thin it was almost see-through, walking alone down the mirror-bright corridor of the Platinum 7-Star. Under my feet, natural stone that cost more per tile than most people's rent. Around me, the perfumed glitter of Riverdale's finest. My arrival felt like an ink blot splattered across a flawless silk painting. Every stare carried surprise, appraisal, naked disdain. The needles of their eyes pricked my cheeks and spine. I simply lowered my head, watched my reflection in the polished floor, and kept walking toward the flower-smothered arch. Beyond it waited the birthday banquet Ellis had arranged. Or rather, the banquet he assumed had to happen because I was the girl who needed his charity. A waiter stepped into my path, polite but cool. "Invitation, miss?" His gaze flicked over my $200 outfit, professional suspicion intact. I lifted my head to answer when a familiar voice rose, deliberately loud. "Let her in. She's with me." Ellis approached. Tail charcoal gray bespoke suit, platinum watch glinting like ice. Handsome enough to make necks snap, until the patronizing smile cracked the illusion. He swept me from head to toe, a microscopic frown tugging his brows before he shrugged it off. An arm settled around my shoulders, intimate in appearance yet iron in intent, steering me inside. Sophia, how many times have I told you to dress properly for these events? It's not like you can't afford better. Why flaunt the penury look? Something inside me twisted, small and sharp, but I said nothing and let him guide me to the center of the hall. Crystal chandeliers poured light. Violins floated through crystal air. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city glittered like scattered diamonds. Perfume, champagne, low velvet laughter, Riverdale's A-list in full bloom. And I stood among them feeling like a beggar who'd wandered into Versailles. Guests kept greeting Ellis, their gaze sliding to me with amused curiosity. I heard the hushed whispers. So that's the rumored girlfriend? Heard her family's nobody, clearly fishing for a jackpot. Ellis basked in the attention, correcting me in fond boyfriend tone meant for public consumption. Sophia, hold the flute by the stem, not the bowl. Caviar is paired with champagne, not apple juice. Each correction drew obliging chuckles. I played the marionette, cheeks stiff from the smile I clutched like armor. Sweat dampened my palms. Crescents of pain bloomed where nails met flesh. Anything to swallow the acid rising in my throat. What did I ever want from him? This so-called favor I had to crane my neck to receive? This superiority built on grinding my self-respect under his heel? Maybe the time had come to be done. Halfway through the party, Ellis, flushed with wine and applause, stood ringed by admirers. That was when his pink-draped cousin, forever irked by my existence, sashayed over, a Tiffany box in her manicured hand. Cousin, look what I bought Sophia. Latest T-bracelet. Nothing to you, of course, but probably more than she usually dares to spend on herself. Spends on herself was bitten off with cherry red relish. Silence rippled outward. Phones lifted in anticipation. Ellis took the box, never glancing inside, and shoved it at me. Then, with a theatrical flick, he produced a gold-colored platinum card from his inner pocket. Before I could move, he whipped it through the air. The card smacked me across the cheek, its edge stinging like a paper cut. Time froze. The violinist lowered his bow. Conversation died. Ellis wore the benefactor's grin, eyes dripping disdain. Sophia, take it and get lost. A girl like you should be able to stretch that for a while. He gestured out the window toward the late-night food stall glowing across the street. Though let's be honest, you're still only good for spicy street-side hot pot. The room erupted in stifled laughter, camera flashes popping as people recorded the moment for group chat eternity. Heat flared where plastic had scraped skin, but the real burn was internal, a fist tightening around my lungs. I looked at the man I'd dated for 2 years, the man I'd believed was merely arrogant, perhaps redeemably human. Under the chandelier, he looked alien, grotesque. So my independence had been playing hard to get, my restraint a bargaining act. 2 years of affection, 3 words, gold-digging bitch. Fine, better this way. Under 1,000 eyes, I bent slowly, gracefully. Skirt hem brushed cold marble. I didn't watch their faces. I simply extended 2 fingers and retrieved the card lying between Ellis's polished Oxfords. Jeers swelled, told you so when the plastic touched my hand. Ellis's smirk widened. She caved just as expected. I straightened, met his scornful stare, and with 2 fingers snapped. Crack! The brittle sound ricocheted through the hush. 2 golden halves dangled from my grip. I tossed them into a passing busboy's silver tray like scraps for the trash. Ellis, I said calm, clear, each word a shard of ice, you're mistaken about several things. I let my gaze sweep the frozen smiles and parted lips, then returned to his whitening face. First, I murmured, this very hotel is mine. At that instant the double doors to the inner banquet hall swung wide. Men and women in tailored suits, over 100, strode in formation and arrayed themselves behind me. At their head a silver-haired gentleman bowed, his voice resonant. Welcome, President Sterling, to your inspection of platinum properties. Silence absolute. If anyone breathed, the room's acoustics hit it. Phones lowered mid-record, throats worked soundlessly. Ellis's tan vanished. His cheeks took on the gray pallor of wet ash. Shock dilated his pupils until the irises vanished. He swayed, knuckles whitening against a table edge. The cousins and socialites who'd giggled moments earlier resembled statues, discovering they were mortal. Phones disappeared into clutches. Someone's champagne flute slipped and shattered like a gunshot. Only then did I step forward, heels clicking like a metronome, counting down the final bars of Ellis's overture. I halted inches from him. Surprised, Casey? You thought I insisted on Dutch tabs because I was poor? You believed thrift shop denim signified empty pockets? You assumed refusing your Birkins was coy strategy. Each question drew blood. His throat bobbed uselessly. He searched for a snappy retort and found none. Poor little prince, I mocked softly. You truly knew nothing. From my back pocket, where other girls might keep cab fare, I slid the black tear. The minimalist black rectangle caught the chandelier's glow. Platinum filigree winked like distant lightning. A collective gasp fluttered through the onlookers who recognized the legend. Unlimited, invitation only, rumored to necessitate liquid assets north of 50 billion. Ellis's jaw unhinged. Last year he'd flown to Manhattan 4 times, desperate to meet the reclusive mind behind KS Capital, the fund that could save Jordan from bankruptcy. He'd been downgraded to subordinates and walked away with mezzanine debt and wounded pride. KS Capital, founded and chaired by a reclusive sterling whose first initial was S. I slid the card along his lapel like a scalpel. Remember begging to see the founder? That would be my late mother. She left me the keys, the codes, and the voting rights. Blood drained so completely from his lips they looked cyanotic. Behind me someone whispered, Jesus, it's her. Oh, one more thing, I added as if commenting on weather. Jordan's majority stake? Just shifted hands 5 minutes ago. Cue the ringtone. Ellis's cell vibrated against his ribcage like a trapped bee. On the screen, Taylor, corporate governance. He stared, paralyzed. Answer, I invited. Congratulations might be in order. With a tremor that traveled shoulder to wrist, he thumbed accept and raised the phone. Even without speaker, the secretary's hysteria leaked into the vault-silent hall. Casey. KS Capital vacuumed up 51% through dark pool buys. New board and CEO appointed, effective now. You're out. Auditors are en route. Ellis's knees buckled. The shattered phone skittered across marble like a skipped stone. Around us, titans of industry suddenly remembered urgent appointments elsewhere, but no one dared move first. I crouched, retrieved the 2 broken halves of his gold card, and flicked them into the trash can at his feet. Tell me, Ellis, my voice velvet final. Which of us looks the gold digger now? Which of us is pitiable? A vein throbbed at his temple. Fury and terror wrestled behind his eyes. Why, he rasped. You had billions. Why play poor? Why lie? Was it all a trap? I regarded his meltdown with arctic calm. Lie, I echoed. I told you 1,000 times money bored me. I wanted honesty. I paid my own bills, wore my own clothes, turned down your gifts. You refused to believe a woman might value her self-respect above your Amex. You wanted a damsel to rescue, an echo for your ego. The instant the mirror showed you the princess towers above you, you screamed conspiracy. I stepped closer, voice soft as falling dust. You never loved me, Ellis. You loved the fantasy that needed your purse. Now the fantasy owns your future, and you're upset you're not in it. His mouth opened, closed. No sound. No argument. No kingdom left to justify his contempt. I turned away, the crowd parting like the Red Sea, whispers trailing in my wake. Sterling, that's Sterling, whole damn hotel. At the corridor's end I paused, looked back once. Ellis stood amid broken crystal, drenched in someone else's champagne, the chandelier's light painting shifting specters across his face. Humiliation incarnate, crowned with the shards of his own hubris. The birthday candles had yet to be brought out, but the fireworks were over. Ellis, I said, the person who set you up was never me. It was your own vanity, your pettiness, and your stupidity. Those words cracked like the final thunderbolt, snuffing the last fleck of light in Ellis's eyes. He staggered backward, hollow-eyed, muttering, No, that's not how it was. But no one cared about his excuses any longer. I turned away and gave the smallest nod to the platinum badge executives waiting behind me, especially the white-haired man in the center, Mr. James, president of Platinum's Asian division. James understood at once. He stepped forward, voice steady. Ladies and gentlemen, an unfortunate incident interrupted tonight's festivities. Mr. Sterling has instructed that all charges for every guest will be covered by Platinum Group as an apology. The banquet is now concluded. Please make your way to the exits. Security, kindly escort Mr. Sterling out. That last word, escort, carried a weight no one missed. 2 stone-faced guards approached. Polite but unyielding, they invited the dazed Ellis to leave. He didn't resist, he had no strength left, allowing himself to be half-carried, half-dragged from the execution ground he had designed for himself. The guests began to file out in uneasy silence. As they passed me, they bowed their heads or produced ingratiating smiles, careful not to speak above a whisper. I remained by the window, gazing at the glittering skyline. The glass threw back my reflection, still the same faded jeans and t-shirt, but the aura around me had changed completely. My phone vibrated. A message from my assistant. Miss Shun, the share transfer and personnel announcement for Jordan has been released to the media. Coverage is locked and loaded. I pocketed the phone without expression. The game has only just begun. Ellis, did you think this was the end? Every humiliation you dumped on me, every sneer you directed at Ordinary. Shenwan. I will return them with interest. After tonight, this 7-star hotel will mark the spot where your golden dream died and you became a citywide joke. And I, Shenwan, am taking back everything that belongs to me, starting with the dignity you trampled. Asterisk. The guests fled Platinum as though escaping a fire. What had been a palace of champagne and laughter was now a cavern of silence. Crystal chandeliers still glittered, but the marble floor mirrored only emptiness, broken glass, and 2 snapped gold cards lying beside a waste bin like dead insects. The cleaning crew worked soundlessly, stealing glances at me, awe and dread in their eyes. They sensed the storm that would soon sweep the city. Mr. James waited at a respectful distance, ready to serve yet careful not to intrude. James, I called, my voice cool in the vast hall. Miss Shin. He stepped closer and inclined his head. I don't want a single rumor that could damage Platinum's brand. Issue a gag order internally. As for tonight's guests, you know what to do. Understood, ma'am. We'll handle the press and soothe the patrons. Anyone who recorded video will be spoken to. Footage will be wiped. I nodded. Money solves most problems, the rest require power. By sunrise, no one in polite society would be stupid enough to test KS Capital, or Platinum's new owner. Jordan, announcements are public. Our transition team is already inside, securing documents for a smooth takeover. He paused. Ellis was removed from the premises. Word is he fell apart. A soft laugh escaped me. He broke that easily? For 2 years his casual boasts, his patronizing lectures, his hints that I was merely Dylan, had grated on me. Strip away the family crest and the trust fund, and there was nothing left but panic. But this was only the first act. Have someone watch him, I said. Find every investment he made through Jamie's name, every contact. I want a full blockade. James's eyes sharpened. Yes, Miss Shun. Uproot the weed, crush the head of the snake, no second chances. That is business, and that is Shunwan's style. My 2-year masquerade as flat-broke graduate had been an experiment, a search for love unpoisoned by pedigree. Reality slapped me awake. If the mask is off, let the real Shunwan step forward. I turned to leave. Miss Shun, your car is ready, James offered. I waved him off. I'll walk. In his startled gaze, I crossed the lobby in my shabby jeans, stepped into the night, and walked alone beneath neon signs and traffic lights no different from any other passerby. Except I had just toppled an empire. My phone buzzed again, a video call. The taut line of my mouth softened when I saw the caller. Grandfather's face filled the screen, framed by the rosewood shelves of his study. Little Juan, he rumbled. How was the birthday? I hear you made quite a bang. The KS network was as fast as ever. I tidied up some personal mess, I said, and cleaned house. Jamie's boy. I warned you, small mind, smaller heart. But you wanted to taste ordinary love. Satisfied now. I gave a noncommittal hum. He had seen further than I did. When I insisted on dating Ellis, he'd said, Go ahead, trip over the curb, then you'll understand why you marry your equal. Equal meant more than money. It meant vision, guts, breeding. Welcome back, he said. Play however you like. The empire your father and I built can survive any fireworks you light. Call if you need backup. Emery, I've got this. If the gloves were off, I would finish the fight my way. He nodded and signed off. I inhaled the cool night air. Exposure was only the opening move. Ahead lay market upheaval, circling vultures, and every social climber in the city. None of it mattered. From tonight on, Shunwan is no timid Cinderella protecting her prince's fragile ego. I am heir to KS Capital, de facto owner of Platinum Hotels, the woman who can erase a dynasty between courses. At the corner stood the street-side hot pot cart Ellis once sneered was more my level. Steam clouded the windows. I pushed in, picked a corner table, and ordered 1 mild bowl extra greens. The owner set it down, broth roiling, fragrant with cumin and chili. I picked up my chopsticks and ate slowly, savoring the honest heat. This is flavor, real, unapologetic. As for Ellis and his gilded bubble, I watched the steam rise, eyes icing over. Game on. Asterisk. The next morning's sunlight spilled across the Italian carpet of the Platinum penthouse. Downstairs, the ballroom had been restored to perfection, as though no scandal had touched it, yet I could feel the cyclone spinning outward. On the coffee table lay fresh financial dailies and gossip rags. Emily, my assistant, entered with an iPad brimming with excitement. Morning, Miss Shen. Here's the heat map and urgent documents. I flipped through screenshots of front pages and trending lists. Stunning reversal, Jordan seized. Shadow conglomerate KS capital steps into light. Birthday banquet or ambush. Jamie heir ousted, said to offend enigma heiress. Who is Shenwan? Covert billionaire's daughter. Insulted, now unleashed. Inside 7-star shock. Snapped gold cards, 100 executives bow. Too dramatic for fiction. Weibo exploded. Hashtag who is Shenwan hashtag. Hashtag Ellis ousted hashtag. Hashtag KS capital hashtag. Hashtag 7-star twist hashtag. All Scarlet tagged burst. Netizen comments were fireworks. OMG real life power fantasy. Yesterday they called her gold digger. Today the joke's on them. KS capital. That whale? Jamie stepped on a landmine. So Shenwan is old man KS's granddaughter. Net worth in the trillions? Anyone else waiting for part 2? Ellis is toast. The tide was mine. Partly our media team steering the narrative, partly Ellis's own talent for making enemies, partly public disgust at a man who humiliates women for sport. Jordan opened limit down, Emily said. Partners are re-evaluating contracts, banks calling loans. I studied the vertical red line. Jamie's market cap bleeding out in real time. Mark to market on our stake. Still astronomical profit. We scooped shares at cents. Even the price leaves us billions ahead. And the float is frozen. Markets expect more limit down days. She smiled. Bottom line, we own the crown jewels. Jordan is ready for corporate restructuring. I nodded. The jungle cheers for the strong. Your phone and inbox are flooded with invitations, ma'am, mayors, governors, every family office in the state. Reality, show strength and the world kneels. Yesterday they might have appraised me like livestock. Today they beg for an audience. Triage them, I said. Draw up a priority sheet. She was interrupted by the suite's secure line. It's Rowan, Ellis's father. He sounds frantic. I took the handset. Yes, Miss Madam Shen. Please. My son is a fool, I failed as a father, but I beg you, give Jamie a lifeline. We'll surrender our stock for a song, Ellis will kneel before you. Anything, just leave us enough to live. No tremor in my pulse. Rowan, business is risk. KS acquired Jordan legally. As for your son, his apology is worthless. Name your price, I beg. Maybe, I said, half laughing. When Ellis tastes life as the nobody he sneered at, when even a hot pot bowl feels expensive, then I'll decide if I'm finished. I hung up. Mercy is a privilege I haven't earned. Emily placed the morning's takeover plan on the screen. Board meeting at 2. Let's draft Morgan's new era, I said, signing the summons sheet. And double the surveillance on Ellis. I want every creditor to call in their notes before sunset. Storm Center, confirmed. Across the river, in a walk-up that smelled of mildew, Ellis huddled on a sagging sofa, designer suit stained with beer. Newspapers on the floor blared his collapse. He hurled a bottle, glass splinters streaking down the wall like a urine yellow tear. 48 hours earlier he had been untouchable. Now CEO office sealed, bank accounts frozen, sports car towed, friends in radio silence. Likes had turned to memes mocking his arrogance. He rang Rowan. The secretary replied Alex was busy, and that Ellis should stop causing trouble. His own penthouse would be padlocked come dawn. Hunger gnawed. He bought a cheap loaf and bottom-shelf vodka, chewing on a grimy curb while gazing at the Michelin-star sushi bar he once booked on a whim, the waiters now eyeing him like vermin. A black Bentley braked beside him. Italian leather shoes, razor-sharp creases. Ellis recognized the silhouette even before the door fully opened. Ellis lifted his head. A sudden, dazzling flash of hope erupted in his clouded eyes. It was Cameron, once one of his closest brothers. The Zhou family might not have rivaled Jamie at its peak, but it was still old money royalty. Cameron couldn't possibly know what had happened, right? He'd come for him. He had to be here to help. Cameron! Cam! Ellis lunged forward like a man greeting his savior, scrambling on hands and knees, clutching Cameron's sleeve in frantic, incoherent bursts. You came. I knew you would. Help me. Cameron's brows snapped together. He wrenched his arm free of Ellis's grimy grip, revulsion and distance blazing in his eyes, then fastidiously flicked the cuff Ellis had touched as though shaking off filth. Ellis? What the hell happened to you? His tone dripped disdain. I'm not here for you. I'm picking someone up. The moment the words left his lips, a petite, fashion-forward girl stepped out of the tiny gallery next to the convenience store. The up-and-coming painter Cameron was openly courting. Spotting Ellis's wreck of an appearance, she clapped a hand over her mouth. Cam, who's? Cameron slid an arm around her waist, voice soothing and dismissive at once. Oh, just some nobody. Used to hang around Jamie. Forget it, bad luck. Car's ready. Let's go, we'll be late for tonight's auction. Nobody bad luck. The words drove into Ellis's last defenses like ice picks. He watched Cameron cup the girl's head protectively as she slipped into the rear of a black Bentley, then circled to the other door without a single glance back. The car roared away, exhaust blooming across Ellis's face. He stood frozen, half a stale baguette clenched in his fist, a clown the world had walked out on. Passers-by nudged each other, murmuring, "Doesn't that guy look familiar? Tisk, wasn't he the Jamie heir? How'd he crash this low? Got what he deserved. Word is he stepped on the wrong toes and the family tanked. Steer clear, dude looks unhinged." The buzz crawled into his ears like flies. Arg! Ellis clutched his skull, howling like a cornered animal, then hurled the bread and bottle to the pavement and slid down the wall into a heap, face buried between his knees. Shame, despair, fury, terror, vipers gnawing at his heart. He had fallen from the clouds straight into the mud. And this was only the beginning. Shenwan. Shenwan. The name etched itself into his bones like a nightmare. 1 week later, City Arts Center. A high-profile charity auction gala, bankrolled by the KS Capital Foundation, was in full swing. Power brokers, socialites, and A-listers packed the hall. Camera flashes popped like fireworks along the red carpet. My first public appearance since the revelation of who I really was. Nothing about it would be ordinary. 90 minutes before curtain up, my styling squad had taken over the 7-star penthouse suite. When the last brushstroke of makeup landed, even jaded Emily drew a breath. I'd skipped the dramatic ball gowns and chosen an Ellie Saab ready-to-wear piece for early fall. An unadorned, liquid silk column in midnight blue. Just cut and luster, no embellishments, yet it traced an air of glacial poise. At my throat glittered a single diamond solitaire on a chain, my mother's and my talisman. Hair knotted low, a few wisps left free, makeup sheer enough to let my own features speak. Steady command shot through with the lightness of someone still in her 20s. "The car's downstairs, Miss Shun," Emily murmured. I lifted a silver clutch and walked out. The stretched Lincoln slid to the curb. The instant my Jimmy Choos touched the crimson rug, the roar of the crowd fell to a hush. Every lens, every eye, locked on me, shock, admiration, awe, calculation. I angled my chin a fraction, offered the room a cool, polite smile, and advanced toward the step-and-repeat wall flanked by KS executives. "Miss Shun, look here. Any comment on Jordan's future? What's tonight's charity goal?" I answered none of it, posed for a few stills, let security guide me inside. Within the banquet hall, perfume and crystal glittered. Conversations died mid-sentence as I passed. People surged forward with cards and greetings, only to be intercepted by my team. I had one destination, the head table. Halfway there, I caught sight of a figure huddled near the service corridor, Ellis. He'd tried. The tux was last season and shiny at the elbows, pressed but swimming on his stooped frame. Champagne trembled in his grip. Eyes darted like a hunted rabbit's, searching for anyone who would speak to him. No one would. Former courtiers developed sudden blindness. When he edged closer, they pivoted away mid-sentence. He even cornered a building materials parvenu he once snubbed. The man offered 2 tepid pleasantries and bolted. The temperature of the cold shoulder sent frost across the room. He sensed my stare and snapped toward me. Our eyes locked. Color drained from his face. The flute rattled, spilling onto the carpet. Terror, humiliation, and a plea he'd never voice wrestled behind his gaze. His lips parted, no sound, then he stepped back as if I were contagion. I kept walking, expression blank, as though I'd glanced at a piece of furniture. That indifference flayed him rawer than mockery ever could. I took my seat. The evening rolled, speeches, applause, polite nods, while I waited for the auction. Paddles lifted. I paid triple reserve for a contemporary piece funding rural art classes. Signal sent. Applause thundered. During the mingling intermission, I rose to meet a few prearranged partners. I'd only taken 5 steps when Ellis lurched into my path. Liquid courage or sheer extinction panic had pushed him here. He was flushed, breathing bitter alcohol clouds, eyes wild. "Eshin Wan," he croaked, loud enough to shatter crystal. "Have you had enough?" Every head turned, conversation flatlined. Even the DJ fumbled the crossfader. Security moved. I lifted a finger. "Let him speak." Thinking my silence a lifeline, he stepped closer, voice ragged. "I was blind. I was trash. You slapped me, you bankrupted Jamie. I'm the citywide joke. Happy?" Veins laced his scara. "What else do you want? Me on my knees." And down he went, knees buckling toward marble. The hall froze mid-breath. Tomorrow's headline was writing itself. Before fabric-kissed floor I spoke, quiet, razor-cold. Ellis, kneeling changes nothing. He hung mid-collapse, ridiculous. Your apology is worthless. Your fall, self-inflicted. Your begging merely pitiful. I inclined an inch lower, volume for him alone. Incidentally, you never paid for the dry cleaning on that tux. And how exactly did you pass tonight's invitation audit? Shall we confirm with security? He convulsed, bloodless. I'd stripped even the rags of dignity off his back. His legs folded, collapse, not courtesy, and he lay inert. I signaled. 2 guards hauled the empty shell away without ceremony. Exit swift, silent, message delivered. I smoothed an imaginary pleat, smiled my polite smile, acknowledged the room's hushed awe, and continued toward my appointment. Music resumed, champagne flowed. The city understood. From tonight, the sky had new constellations. Ellis and the era he embodied were fossil fuel for gossip, nothing more. The charity scandal detonated across front pages. Story 1, KS Capital Gala smashes records, new Queen Shun one hailed visionary philanthropist. Photo me paddle lifted serene. Story 2, Ellis foaming, dragged by armpits. Banner, Jamie brought to knees, booted after tantrum. Avery, public sentiment avalanched. Old allies slammed doors on Jamie. Jordan's shares free fell until KS Task Force liquidated, merged, restructured. The empire dissolved in daylight. I never asked after him again. Emily heard he tried warehouse labor, lost a fight, vanished toward border rumors. Out of sight, bankrupt of relevance. My life moved to KS Capital's top floor area, conference calls, term sheets, cap tables. Acquiring Jordan had been the appetizer. Now came carve-outs, spin-offs, hydrogen auto parks, art investment arms. I thrived on the velocity. Emory Video dropped in, watched me chair a hostile takeover seminar, and simply grinned. Your yacht, you're heading. Invitations snowstormed, scions, senators, sheiks. I declined with polite froideur. No alliance purchase necessary, no affection required as currency. One cobalt afternoon, I escaped to Celine outside the city. I rode the chestnut stallion Tempest at a flat-out gallop until skyline and worry blurred. Slowing to a walk, I heard, Ms. Shun, fancy meeting you here. Leona, the architect I'd once debated at a symposium, stood by the rail, white shirt, khakis, skyline blueprints in his smile. We strolled, talked cantilevers and quarter horses, no mention of Jamie or Ellis. Parting, he gave a card, just his name and a studio number. Coffee after your next ride? I pocketed it, possibilities stirring. Naomi. Half a year since the birthday that detonated the old order. Autumn sun slanted through my office as Emily delivered the postmortem. Toxic assets purged, core units rebranded as Sterling Group, EBITDA up 230%, electric vehicle park breaking ground with City Hall's blessing. And Jamie. Rowan sold the last ancestral house. They've relocated south, assets unknown. Ellis. Spotted hauling cement, quarreled, injured, then gone. No trace since. Gone. I dismissed the ghost with a flick of my wrist. Night pooled outside the glass. My phone pinged. Leona had photographed saffron clouds out his studio window. Same sky you admired. Come see it close up? I typed back a single smiling yes. Power is the freedom to choose, and tonight I chose wind. Garage, I told the driver. Take me to Celine. I need speed. End of tonight's tale. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you score this story? If it earned your thumbs up, tap like and share. Drop your thoughts below, and subscribe for the next chapter. See you soon.